All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. Hopefully you are excited to learn a little bit about what it is to be on state council. Sam and I are both here and we'll introduce ourselves in a second, but we hope that you take away some good information tonight and we'll hopefully apply for state council either this year or in the future. So you can get to know us. My name is Jeanette Stackhouse. I'm the Pennsylvania 4-H Teen Program Manager, and I work in the state office. I've been the state council advisor for 2 years now, and I am a state council alum. I served in 2009 and 2010.
Hi, everybody. My name's Sam Nicola. I'm the 4-H educator in Northumberland County. I was a council advisor back when it started and just recently started back up again in the position and excited to be back.
We also have on some of our current state council members. Those of you who are on, do you want to unmute your mics and introduce yourselves?
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea Repitz. I'm currently serving as the council president.
I know there's more of you on. Okay, well, that's okay. There are going to be more council members joining us throughout the evening, and as we have questions come up, we'll direct some of them to them so you can hear from current council members and get their perspective on what their term has been like.
I'm just going to jump in for a second with just some housekeeping about tonight before we actually start the program. Just don't forget to please keep your mics muted at all times. When we open up for questions, we will allow for you to unmute your mics if necessary. However, the easiest way to do it is as you think of questions, please type them into the chat pod. I'll be monitoring that and we'll recite those questions when they come available later in the show.
Great. So just so everyone knows, the deadline for council applications is September 10th, and we'll elaborate a little bit more on that as we go on and outline some of the specifics around that.
Okay, here's just a quick slide about the mission and vision of State Council. Our mission is to promote and represent the Pennsylvania 4-H program with integrity, positive teamwork, and pride. And all of these things, again, we'll be touching on a little bit more as we go through when we show responsibilities and so on. Our vision is to strive for active participation in all aspects of the Pennsylvania 4-H program and become recognized for our leadership and dedication. The age there, just a reminder quickly that the ages for this are 16 to 18. That's 4-H age again. That would be what your age is on January 1st of 2019 is the 4-H age. And you're an active 4-H member through the end of your term. Active 4-H member means that you must be enrolled in 4-H online and active in your home county as well. Here's just some basic expectations. Again, we're going to elaborate on this all as we go through this show. The most important thing we need council members to remember is that you're the face and the representatives of all the entire Pennsylvania 4-H program. You'll be seen in your blazers and polos and whatever throughout the state. It's your responsibility to continue to be in that professional setting whenever you're in office and not just when you're in uniform, because people are going to associate your name with the fact that you're a Pennsylvania 4-H council member. Some behavioral expectations that we have of council, of course, is to follow the 4-H code of conduct. We always tell people that not knowing what's in the 4-H code of conduct because you didn't actually read it is your fault, not ours. You never sign something without reading it first. So make sure if you haven't read the code of conduct recently that you take a few minutes to do that. To accept challenges with enthusiasm. Council can be a challenging role sometimes. Your role on council can be challenging, so you always have to look at it with the most positive way you can. Be enthusiastic about it and try to get through it in whatever way you can. And that's what Jeanette and I and the rest of your team are here to help you get through. You're always to perform at the highest level that you can possibly achieve. Half work is never good enough. You have to do the best you can at all times. And in that way, you always keep a positive attitude, and you take and follow directions from adults in charge, and at times even other council members, depending on who's in charge of what. And of course, to maintain your proper dress, which again, we will touch on a little bit more in a couple minutes. Okay, to be on council, there can be anywhere between, depending on the year, 5 to 10 to 12 of you. So we need you to always remember that you have to work with your team. You'll have the opportunity to do that during your first training weekend in February, and you'll get to know each other well during that weekend. So just be prepared to get to know each other well and to work with Jeanette and I. Jeanette and I we both think consider ourselves easy to work with anyway, but you need to be cooperative with us as well. Always be on time. The best way to think of that is if you're on time, you're late. So always strive to be at least 5 to 10 minutes early to wherever you're supposed to be, making sure that you're there when you're supposed to be. Always continually strive to improve. Jeanette and I, throughout the year, and other adults will potentially give you feedback to things that we think you can improve on. Please don't take that take that only as constructive criticism, not as any kind of insult. Use that to improve on what you already do well. Because if you didn't do it well, you wouldn't be on the council to begin with at that point. Help others to fulfill their office or for specific assignments. Again, in order to work as a team, there might be times when you all need to pitch in and help somebody else out. Always be ready, willing, and able to do that. Your time management is crucial to this job, to this role as state council member. You need to be dedicated and committed to the entire 4-H program. And what we mean by that, that's jumping back to your participation in your county program is just as important as your participation on state council. So make sure you're keeping your commitments to all that with everything from county level, county council level, club level, and so on. Be willing to commit the time and travel necessary. There's many required events, which again, we're going to get into shortly, and some events that we highly encourage as many to be there as possible. So you need to be ready, willing, and able to commit to that travel and time that's needed. Read and respond to emails and calls and so on in a timely fashion. Jeanette and I, that's our main source of conversation with you will be through emails, text messages, and so on. We expect replies in no less than 2 days. So please make sure you check your emails and phone calls, return phone calls as soon as possible. And lastly, for the expectations part, you have to know and understand what youth development is, what 4-H is, what Penn State is, and how Penn State, 4-H, and the College of Ag Sciences work together to make this program what it is. Interaction with all Pennsylvania 4-H social media. Again, I'm just back into this, so Jeanette, if I missed something, please let me know. Pennsylvania 4-H Council has social media sites with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. I don't believe I missed anything. So just make sure that when necessary and when appropriate, you're posting on that professionally and appropriately as necessary. Preparation for all events and your appearance at appearances at other events. Make sure that you don't just show up and hope you know what you're doing. Make sure you understand what you're doing. Make sure you're prepared to do what you're there to do. Whether that's if you have to write a script or make a presentation, have that ready and prepared to go. One of your other expectations will be to appear at a minimum of 5 club, county, or regional events. You can define regional how you choose. Surrounding counties, area, district, whatever you want to call that. So at a minimum of 5. Again, you're more than welcome to do as many as you want. There's a process for educators and other people to request your appearance at events, and we will let you know that and explain that to you if you should be selected to be on council.
I just want to add in here with that first bullet point about knowing and understanding all of those things. Don't think that you have to be an expert on those to apply. Those are things that we spend a lot of time heavily teaching you about during the training retreat that we do shortly after you're inducted, and continuing throughout the year. You meet people from Penn State and the college and 4-H staff all through the year. And those are things that we prepare you with. So just know that those are things that once you would be chosen for council, we'll want you to know about, but you don't need to be an expert to apply.
Thanks for clarifying for me, Jeanette.
Sure. All right. So getting into some of the time commitments that Sam was talking about and how important being there for your team would be if you're selected. Hopefully you saw the announcement. We did a social media announcement last month, and it was also updated in the 4-H online email that went out to anybody age eligible, that we have a new timeline for state council that is going to begin in February of 2019. So if you've seen council for a while, you are probably used to seeing us induct at state days, attend farm show and leadership conference, Capitol days, and then pass off to the next team at state days. Because of some changes that are coming to the state days event, we have decided to move it to state leadership conference, which actually years ago is how inductions used to be. You served a calendar year term. This is, we think, a really great move because everybody at leadership conference is really excited and pumped up about leadership, and you know, it's all family when we're at that event. So this will be a great place to do it. And we also have some new pieces coming to SLC that it will all fit together doing this change. So what is happening in the meantime, the current council is going to finish their term at State Days 2018. And then we have an interim council of returning council members. They've previously served on council. Will serve that in between 6-month, 7-month period. So we aren't really losing council for any point in time. We just need somebody to carry on until we get to SLC 2019. So hopefully that makes sense. If there are questions, we can definitely touch on those in a little bit. But I just want to run through what the schedule then will look like for as many of the dates as we have nailed down as possible. So if you apply for state council and are chosen to interview and move on to the final steps, you will attend state leadership conference as a registered participant. So you will pay and register through your county to attend. At that event, we would do the selection process, which is the final piece to determine who moves on and is on the state council, and we would induct you there. So that is early of February 2019. Training and orientation weekend, make sure you pencil this in your calendars, is February 15th to 17th. That is a required event. All of these on this screen right now are required events, but you would be expected to be there. So since you have those dates now, you can mark them in. Capitol Days 2019, you see the dates there. That includes a preparation day. For a lot of events, we come in a day early and practice and prep, set up, all that kind of stuff. State Achievement Days 2019, there's a tentative date there. That has not been confirmed, so you can pencil that one in as well. Council members do not compete in contests, so just know that up front. We have other duties throughout the event. At the Pennsylvania Farm Show, we have lots of activities that go on through that week, but the only required ones are the Pennsylvania Preferred Reception, which happens the Friday prior to the official opening, and then Saturday for opening ceremonies. The rest of it is sign up as you're able, but not required. These are the only pieces of Farm Show that we require. And then you would plan and do the program for State Leadership Conference 2020 as an outgoing council member. So those dates are yet to be. In addition to that, we have monthly council meetings, though they rotate every other month face-to-face or a Zoom, which is the platform that we're using tonight for this presentation. There are monthly reports that report on what you've done as a council member, what appearances you've made. And you would also attend a minimum of 5 club, county, or regional events as a council member. I think if you would speak to any of the current council members, they can attest that 5 is a really easy number to make as long as you're flexible with your schedule. We get many requests throughout the year.
Just real quick before you change the slide,
Sure.
It's a small typo, and hopefully you all recognize that there's a small typo there. That help needed under Farm Show, it's help needed January 3rd through 12th, 2019. Obviously, January 3rd through 12th of 2018 is gone. We just missed that and changed in the slideshow. So just want to point that out and make that clear to everybody.
Thank you, Sam. Yep. The dates itself, the January 3rd through 12th, that is correct, though. It's just 2019. Do any of the current council want to jump in and share any comments on these events? Putting them on the spot tonight.
Again, I'll just quickly speak to the fact that the 5 required events can seem intimidating, but once you're on council, the flow of emails pretty much never stops. So you are pretty much sure to make sure that you'll be able to find an event to go to. That, and because everybody's spread out across the state, you don't need to be trying to go to something that's 5 hours away just for a 2-hour event in the morning. You can work as a team to figure out who's going to go to which different events.
Thanks, Andrea, and that is a really good point. Your team is most likely from all over the state, so we divide and conquer, that's for sure. We've gotten probably close to 30 or 40, somewhere in that range, requests this year to come out and do event appearances. Sometimes we've been teaching, so there are quite a few things that we get asked to do.
Just real quick again, Jeanette, before you change, there was a question that I think that just popped up that I think is important to address right now instead of waiting till the end. Someone asked, Farm Show and SLC will be in the following year. What if you are no longer a 4-H age that following year? That's okay. As long as you're 4-H age up to that point, you're fine. So if you age out that year, you're okay. We have the permission of the university and human resources to allow you to finish out your term if you would technically age out those last 2 months. So good question, and thanks for asking.
Yep, very good question, and Sam is absolutely right. That does not hinder your chance to serve for the 2019 year. Any other questions before I move on? This one usually gets quite a few questions. All right, we'll keep going here. So some of those things that I was talking about that are not required but strongly encouraged, the types of things that we get invited to come out and do. Obviously, you want to continue going to 4-H club meetings in your county. It's a great opportunity. We have several counties who have never had council members before, or we have 3 members on our team this year who are the very first. So we expect them to be going to their clubs and talking about what they're doing and how prestigious a role it is that they get to play this year. We are very often asked to come out and participate in county officer trainings to teach younger members how to be officers. We've attended things like camp or teen retreats in an official capacity to teach. Every year we're asked to help out at the annual Farm Bureau state meeting. We've been to the Premier Junior National Dairy Show and All-American Dairy Show. When we have male council members, they participate in the Pennsylvania Dairy Princess coronation as escorts for all the young ladies. Often we're asked to help out with state animal science camp, cornucopia, ag progress days, and at any point in time throughout the year, we might be meeting with legislators. So a few years ago, the United States Secretary of Agriculture came to visit Penn State campus. Council was there to greet him and participate in a meeting at Farm Show. For example, Congressman Glenn Thompson had an event that he asked us to come to. So there are some things like that that happen throughout the year. Leaders forums and all other events as requested. So there is a form on our website called Request a State Council Member that the public has access to if they would like us to be invited to something. So that is how we get so many requests throughout the year. And additionally, there at the bottom, Sam mentioned this a little bit earlier, but at training weekend, we do give you the information about how to get things posted to the Pennsylvania 4-H social media, and those are things that we will cover. It's not a requirement if you don't have social media yourself. We have ways to post the content for you. Okay. And in addition, we have a state council pledge that is signed as part of your preparation for training weekend. It outlines all of these expectations that we've laid out for you here tonight and lists the required events. At that point, we usually have a lot more of the specifics. So some of those tentative dates that I said will be nailed down at that point. But since you are expected to be at all of them, we have you sign a council pledge. And if you are interested in taking a look at what that looks like right now, you can check out one of the last pages of the council handbook, which is posted on our website. All right, financial commitment. So throughout the year, as you can imagine, you're doing a lot of traveling. We do have, as long as funds are available, I have to emphasize that part. We do mileage reimbursement for travel. For the uniforms and accessories, we provide the uniform itself of what Penn State will pay for is roughly $350, $400 for all of the pieces that we provide. That's 2 polos, the blazer, the messenger bag, the padfolio, business cards. I think there's another piece I'm missing. Messenger bag, if I didn't say that.
Their pin.
I'm sorry, what was that, Sam?
Their pin, their name badge.
Their name tag, yes, name badges. I feel like there's something else, but on the screen is what council members have to provide for themselves. Their own shirts to wear underneath the blazer, so that's a white dress shirt. The shoes, black and brown dress shoes. The pants, which are black dress pants, khaki pants. Ties for the men, the black skirts for our ladies, and ladies, your nylons. Those are the pieces that council members provide. When we're at meetings and trainings together, we pay for the lodging, your meals, and any materials that are required to participate in that. And when it comes to event registrations, once you are on council, so this is from the moment you're inducted until you leave, we cover event registrations for Capitol Days, state days, and then your outgoing leadership conference. And I did briefly touch on this a little bit ago, but this is the outline of the uniform. So just looking here quickly. Yes, I did touch on everything that the state office provides. But this is the uniform when we are formal or in business casual. All right, and then the application and selection process. So our applications are available right now on our website, and Sam is going to be sending out this link following the meeting to anybody who registered. All of the pieces of the application are due to us on September 10th. So that includes your information about what you do in 4-H, the names of your references, the essay portion, all of it is due to us no later than that. So since it's out there now, if you happen to get your whole application done by Friday, that's great. You can send it to us next week. We are happy to accept them as early as possible. There's a lot to it, so don't wait until September 9th to start it. That's for sure. But it needs to either be mailed or emailed to us by September 10th. Has to be received by then. We have application interviews on October 20th and November 3rd at the state office, which is on campus of Penn State. When you do the application, you will have to select if one or both of those dates works for you, but these are the only days we're doing interviews. Then at State Leadership Conference 2019, there's an onstage portion where you'll give a short introduction, kind of a campaign speech, tell us about yourself and how you would be a good member on council. We provide you the prompt that you need to prepare for. It's about a minute-long speech. Then we have you choose an impromptu question, and there's a peer vote. Finally, if you are chosen to be on council, we have what's called officer selection, and that's where we look at your strengths and weaknesses and place you into the officer position that you will serve in. And you find out on stage Sunday of SLC what officer position you've been appointed to. All right, I'll go back to this slide so that you can see it. But at this time, if you have any questions that you'd like to unmute your mic and ask, or you can definitely use the chat pod as well. And remember, there are current state council members on here, so if you have something specific you'd like to ask them, feel free to do so.
Now's the time to ask, and if there's any parents listening with their potential applicants, feel free to ask us questions as well. We're happy to answer them.
I'll chime in real quick. Andrea, our current president, answered my question of there was one more thing that we provide. That is the fleece that we give you when the short sleeve polos are a little too chilly to be walking around farm show. There is a fleece jacket that we have for you. Thanks, Andrea. I knew I was forgetting something.
So no questions. Nobody has any questions after all that we just went through.
Current council, is there anything you would like to add or talk about? Encouragement to apply.
Okay, there was a question that just popped into the chat pod. Are skirts mandatory to wear for women, or are pants allowed as well? At this point, unless there's an issue that you need to talk to us about, professional dress requires that women wear skirts at this point. And again, that's just to emphasize, that is only when you're in professional dress with the blazer. When you're in business casual, khakis or the black pants are required, not a skirt.
All right, I'm going to quickly cooperate. There it goes. Here are the contact information for Sam and myself. He's going to include this in the email that's going to come out to you with links and further details, the recording of this, all of that we'll be sending to you. But if you have questions that pop up in the meantime, once you have a chance to look at the application, definitely send us your questions.
So as Jeanette said, tomorrow, everybody who is on this recording, on this presentation, excuse me, will receive an email from me that has all the links in it of different things we talked about tonight, a copy of this presentation, and our contact information again, like we said, and probably the link to this presentation if you'd like to hear it again as well, which is completely fine. And feel free to share it with others who might be interested and couldn't make it tonight.
In case you would happen to be looking for the application in the meantime tonight, if you just Google Pennsylvania 4-H, that's the easiest way to direct you there. We have a state council page, so you can find that in the tabs on the left side of our main web page. And then within that, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, and it talks about the process for applying for state council, the word application is highlighted. If you click on application in that paragraph, that'll lead you to the PDF. So it's a little bit cumbersome to find. That's why we want you to have the link to find it easier. But if you are looking for it tonight, that's how you'll find it.
Okay, we'll just wait a couple more minutes just in case there's any last second questions. Feel free. And again, State Council, if you have anything, State Council members, I see Andrea, Carolyn, and Jared are here. If any of you have anything you want to add that we might have not have touched on, feel free to do so. Got to thank you in the chat. You're very welcome. And again, we know too that this was a lot to take in a half an hour. So if you're thinking about things later or you have additional questions, don't hesitate to email myself and Jeanette. Please email the both of us for a couple reasons, but primarily because sometimes one of us will have the opportunity to answer it faster than the other. So please feel free to email us questions or concerns.
Feel free to get in touch with any of us on council as well if you have any questions. We'd be happy to help.
I'll throw out a quick word of encouragement. Just the fact that you're here tonight listening in, it shows that you're curious. And honestly, this is the beginning of your whole state council process, just showing your interest and deciding that this is something you want to try for. So keep that in mind. Put a lot of time and effort into your application. You don't want this to be something you're rushing, especially now that you have all summer to do it. So make sure you're putting in time. You speak to your references. Make sure you have people who can speak really well on behalf of your talents and skills. And yes, as Jared said, please, please, please reach out to us if you're following us on Instagram or something like that. Or if anything, you can DM the PA4H Snapchat. We check that every once in a while, so we get an answer from you there. But yeah, congrats on the beginning.
I'll throw a little something out there as well. As Andrea said, you should all be really happy. Be excited about it. I know this is a lot to take in, but as Andrea said, just the fact that you're here and putting the effort in now on your end, it will pay off in the long run. So don't be afraid to reach out. If you're worried about anything like time management going into your senior year of high school, or if you're a college freshman, Jared and I are both in that boat now. So at times it did seem a little hectic making that transition, but don't worry about it. It all is absolutely 100% worth it. So keep that in your mind.
All right, there's a question in the chat box that I'll direct to somebody that's currently on council to answer. How do we pick who gets which officer position? Can you guys speak to that a little bit?
So not to say that it's top secret, but it's not something you're fully going to understand until you go through it. It's a lot of just sitting down and analyzing what your skills are and what the skills are required for each specific officer role. And everybody has input, everybody has say, and you speak freely.
To add to that, that'll take place at State Leadership Conference, and you will find out at the same time that everybody else does when you're inducted.
Okay, we had another question come in about the application for the references. We will send them the reference information that they need, what we need them to answer for us, and they will send it directly back to us.
Yeah, so it's very important that we're doing it this year. Everything is going to be emailed to the references, so it's very important that you choose references who have an email address and you can remind them to check it. So I believe we have planned to send, after we send you your reference, after we send your reference their email, we will send a note to you that says, these are the people we've reached out to, please follow up. So it is your responsibility to make sure that your references follow up on their part of the deal and get their stuff back to us. So if we don't have all 3 of your references returned, the application isn't complete. So make sure you follow up with them that it's turned in. If you're not sure, feel free to reach out to us and make sure that we've received it on our end. Sometimes technology can be a little glitchy, so you just want to make sure that all of your pieces are in, but we won't be reaching out to you if we only have your application and 1 reference. So it is a lesson in responsibility to our applicants to make sure all pieces are accounted for.
And Jeanette just kind of implied there during this process that that's our job and that's what we're here for. So don't hesitate to follow up and make sure that we have everything we need. That's highly encouraged, to make sure that we got your complete application, make sure that we got all your references and so on. Don't hesitate to do that. That's what we're here for. Anything else?
I'm going to add another quick note to what Caroline said, specifically about time management. So one thing that all of you guys will have to take into consideration that we didn't so much is the fact that you are already going to be in the middle of a school year whenever this whole term starts for you. So this is something you should be thinking about now. Be prepared in advance for this. Really, I can't stress this enough. Be in constant contact with your teachers and make them very wholly aware of the situation that you're going to be in, because you will be missing school. You will be missing quite a bit of school, and you can manage that however you need to. But the one thing to keep in mind is to really go into this prepared to dedicate a lot of your time. Like, come into this prepared to dedicate most of your year to state council. And then once you're in it, you'll better be able to tailor your schedule and figure out if you actually do need to give up any activities, or how you can be planning your time better. So mentally prepare for a lot of your time and energy going towards this, but know that we're not saying you have to give up your life for an entire year.
Absolutely. And that looks different for everyone. So that is definitely a soul searching piece to do for yourself. We can't dictate it for you. That'll be a decision that you make for yourself, with your family. Talk to your 4-H educator about some of the things that they have seen at these events, and talk to the current council, past councils as well.
And I would add to that to feel free to ask Jeanette or myself if you want some encouragement, advice, or whatever. And if we don't feel that we can answer it honestly, we will put you in contact with one of the current council members that will be able to answer it more effectively or honestly than we may be able to. Okay, we'll give it about a minute yet, see if there's any more questions. As we wait, I just want to thank everybody first for being here, and a special word of thanks to the 3 current state council members who were willing to give up some of their time tonight to be on here as well. We appreciate Jeanette, and I appreciate that, and I hope you did too. Please feel free again to contact any of us with questions. And tomorrow morning, expect an email from me, a follow-up email that has some information on it for you to look at things a little more closely.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Hopefully it was helpful and got you thinking of joining us in the 2019 4-H year, and we look forward to receiving your applications. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.